Hello friends, this time I would like to show you the process, like workflow, mm, of creating this fantasy, dreamy fine art. Basically we'll be going from here, like normal photo I have taken in Italy, to this surreal effect. First we'll talk about color and composition, and later on we'll jump to actual editing. Basically it will be more advanced color grading than we did on the last video. So let's start. Again, this time I will be using raw file, that's why Photoshop will automatically um, open it in camera raw filter. If you're using JPEG or PNG format, like other than raw, um, you basically need to go to filters and camera raw, and something like that should open. I will reset my settings, and here I will do the very basic correction of light and color, nothing special. All the fancy stuff we'll do within the Photoshop, because that's camera raw filter. It's like a plugin built inside the Photoshop, like Lightroom. That's why I think you can actually use Lightroom instead of camera raw. But that's just another option. But the result will be the same. So I will lower the temperature so that it doesn't look like daylight. I will increase the contrast to make the main subject of my composition pop big. I will slightly decrease highlights. I will increase shadows to restore the details from shadow. And I will increase whites and decrease blacks a little bit. This is like the more natural and cinematic way of increasing in contrast. This stuff I did on these sliders. Clarity, I will lower clarity because the dreamy effect is more blurry, pretty similar stuff than that in compare with our previous video. And I think for now, I'll just reduce the sharpening because I don't want my image to be too sharp. Okay, first let's crop this image. To crop my image properly, I'm using this dynamic symmetry grid. Dynamic symmetry is a great rule of composition used in Rubens, Rembrandt, basically most of the well-known artists use that in their paintings. Also, it really applies to cinematography. Um, Basically, it makes the whole scene more pleasant to the eye. So, what are we doing with this grid? Basically, we need to align objects of our scene with the lines of this grid. So basically we can align this with this line. I'm not sure if you can see the cursor because I'm using graphic tablet and sometimes it doesn't work, but basically try to align the lines on your photo with lines on the grid. I will do it real quick. Okay, and the lizard will be in the center of my composition, and the whole composition is it's not really symmetric because of that orange stuff right here, but at least it will align. I mean, the leaves will align with lines pretty well, so I'm happy with that. Okay, now if you are ready, press C to crop it. I'm using 4 by 5 because that's the same ratio of this grid, 4 by 5. Oh, and how do you get this grid? So basically you type dynamic symmetry in Google and there will be, many PNG files like that. And this rule not only applies to 4 by 5, but basically it's every ratio, because the lines are mathematically set here. So yeah, let's crop this image. Yes, I'm happy with that, and I can now remove the grid. Okay, now before we start, I'd like you to think for a second about the color you're gonna use. You can copy my style, of course, but if you're willing to um, apply your own color set, um, we can talk about it right now. So basically, in previous video we used a rule of composing colors, which is complementary colors. So basically you pick two colors from the opposite sides of the wheel, but this time I'm gonna use triad. So this will be three colors equally far away from each other. If you'd like to see it more clearly, you can go on to coloradobe.com and create your own palette of colors. Today we will be using like this cyan blue with pretty cold yellow and red. It's well visible here. You have that red dead leaves, you have blue, whole environment, this plant, and golden wizard. Okay, we can close it for now. Okay, and let's start with colors. So first I would like to make my wizard pop a bit. So we can add curves adjustment and increase highlights. Now just look only on the lizard. We will mask the effect of this adjustment only to the wizard. We'll do it in a second, but basically I would like to show you how I set up my curves. Yes, something like that, it's okay. Remember, it's on RGB. Now switch to blue, because we want to make our lizard golden, which is yellow. And what is the opposite color of blue? It's yellow. That's why we'll decrease the blue here. Look only on the wizard, nowhere else. Okay, I think something like that it's fair. Now press on the mask button of this curves adjustment and invert. Basically the black color covers all the effect of this adjustment, and now with white we will reveal this area. Okay, so pick the brush you want. I basically stick to the basic one, which is pretty hard but not maximally. Flow is 30 and I have this opacity pressure stuff on because I'm using graphic tablet. So now set your foreground color to white, and now simply paint over the lizard. See how it works? Remember, white reveals and black hides. So if you, for example, accidentally draw a line like that and you want to erase it, you just press X to switch from white to black and hide it, because black hides the effect and white reveals. Okay, let's go back to our lizard. Because I respect your time, I'm not gonna spend it excessively on caring about details of this lizard and so on, so I'll do it pretty quickly. Normally I would, spend more time to do it, and I encourage you to do it as well on your own, but just for the sake of this tutorial, um, I will do it like pretty in a pretty simple manner. Okay, amazing. We can name these curves lizard pot. Okay. Now I would like to add contrast to the leaves to this plant. So I would add curves adjustment and make it contrasting. I will crush the blacks a little bit because it adds, that faded, dreamy style, but I will decrease shadows and increase the highlights. Okay, now the same thing, the very same thing with mask. Press on it, invert or Control I, and now again paint over the leaves. Okay, now if you are happy with the contrast of your foliage, we'll go to color of this. So add selective color adjustment, and now we'll work basically on everything except for the lizard. So we will click left click on this mask icon, hold Alt or Option on Mac, and drag it on the mask on selective color. And yes, replace the mask. Now invert this mask, and now we have mask ready to work on the environment. Basically, what we do here doesn't affect the lizard. Okay, let's start with reds. So now I will explain you how selective color adjustment works. So it basically controls the particular color of your image. So now we are working on reds. Basically this is cyan, and the opposite of cyan is red color. So if we drag it to the left, it adds red. Now magenta, I would add a little bit of magenta, and by the way, the opposite color to magenta is green. Okay. Now we'll go to yellows. So this is how we actually start working with leaves, because they are a bit yellow. They are green basically, but they have yellow spots. So basically we increase the cyan to maximum, and we decrease the yellow because, as I have mentioned earlier, the opposite color to yellow is blue. So you see, it becomes more blue. Now we'll go to greens. We will do the pretty much the same thing. Increase cyan, decrease yellow. Now you see it's getting the actual color we were aiming for. And we can add some black, so basically it makes it darker. I think we can do the same thing with yellows. Okay, now cyans. I don't see much cyan here. I mean in the original photo, but still I will. Oh, there's pretty much. I will increase it, and also I will add blue to that. With blues, I will increase the saturation of the blue by simply adding the blue, but it's not much difference here. Magentas, will make it more red. and more saturated. And now blacks. Add a little, um, a little bit of blue and a little bit, oh, maybe even more. Yes, so something like that. I think it's fair. Okay, now we're gonna make another adjustment for the environment. Basically with the same mask, because we don't want it to affect our lizard. So again, hold Alt or Option on Mac and drag it onto the mask of the curves adjustment above. Now if you want to go back to some particular adjustment, we can rename it. So these are leafy contrast. Here is I mean color plants, and here it's like I think we're affecting basically light here, so yeah, this will be light. Okay, so now we want to darken some particular areas of our scene. Yes, something I think like that. It's pretty. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, something like that. I think it's okay. Let's see. Yeah, something like that. Now let's go to the blue channel and increase the blue in shadows, and don't add too much to the highlights. I mean, not too much. Yes, I think something like that is fair enough. Okay, now I'd like to colorize my lizard a little bit. So basically pick the color you want your lizard to be, sort of glowing. I think it's this yellow. Yeah, it's a good one. Press OK. Set the blending mode to overlay. Decrease flow a little bit, and now again start painting over your lizard. Okay, it's pretty interesting. If you want, you can set it as well to soft light. It will be more softer effect, or stay with overlay but reduce the fill a little bit. I think it's 80 is a very fair amount. Now we'll add some particles to it, and here I would like to show you how to create a brush for that bokeh particles, something like that. So basically add solid color, the same move we did in our last video. Set the blending mode to linear dodge and rasterize the layer. Okay, now press the brush icon and press F5, and now we are in brush settings. So let's go to shape dynamics and goes to size jitter. Increase it to 100, minimum diameter just a little bit. Now scattering. This is the most important part of this brush. 1000. Count, I think 2 or even 2 or 3, as you want. I can go for 3 and count jitter around 30%. Yes, that's basically it. Okay, now reset the color by pressing D and now X. Increase it a little bit, like that. And now you simply, paint these bokeh elements. See how it behaves like? This is pretty, cool stuff. Okay, now we will do some final touches in camera filter again. And to make it work, press Ctrl Alt Shift E. Okay, with this layer selected, go to filter and camera filter. Here I would like to decrease the temperature just a little bit. Add even more contrast. Highlights. Go as you want, basically. I don't know on what photo are you working. Just make sure it just looks nice. The rest is pretty okay. We can add a little bit of vibrance. I think 10 is very cool. Tone curve. Yeah, this setup is pretty fair in my opinion. Okay, this now again very important stuff, because colors. Okay. And now in the final part I would like to just add some simple effects like grain and vignette to center our subject more, to draw the focus on the lizard, which is the main subject of my composition. Okay, for today it's everything. I really appreciate your time spent on watching this. So basically, if you have any questions or suggestions related to my channel, I would be very glad to answer them. And I hope to see you again. Goodbye.